Okay, everybody, welcome to the channel. A little late here, but I kind of wanted to wait until later to kind of give out my rankings for the year. Um, Probably could have done it a little earlier, but no time like the present. So just gonna hop right into it, kind of going over our 2025 fantasy football rankings. So got the whole thing right here. I'll kind of separate it as we go, but this will be for mainly full point PPR. Quarterback number one, Josh Allen. Him and Lamar are pretty similar right now. Lamar with a little injury right now is why I'm putting him behind Josh Allen, and with Henry there too. Um, that can and has taken away from Lamar, so I'm going to stay away from that a little bit. But I'm going to keep Josh Allen number one. James Cook did get re-signed, but I'm not too worried about him. Missing training camp too, or however long he was out for, will probably put a damper on his early season, which could be better for Josh Allen. So, but all in all, kind of nitpicking there. Jalen Hurts number three for my quarterback. I like him a lot. There's a good shot that Saquon ends up getting injured, going off of history. Might only be for a couple games, but when he does, like, all the goal line work will be his. Man, there's a good shot he could put up 2 or 3, tush push touchdowns right there. And I would want to be optimistic that Saquon will be healthy, but history does repeat. So I like Jalen Hurts a lot for my three. Four, I got Joey Burrow. I mean, Bengals, terrible defense. Yeah, they re-signed Hendrickson, unfortunately for the offense, but their defense hasn't changed at all. Shamar Stewart, whatever, the guy from A&M. I don't think he'll put any type of impact on that defensive line. I don't think he's going to be that good. He's all potential, nothing more than that, and they're not going to be able to develop him. I really don't think they are. Number five, I got Dak Prescott. Love Dak. I'm going to show 6 right here, but you can tell. I love Dak. Micah Parsons traded as of yesterday. Everything's looking up for the for the Dallas offense with CD healthy entering the year, not holding out like he did last summer. Pickens coming over, had a really good zone, press, and man win rates last year, despite not doing all that well for fantasy, burning people. But they don't have a running game either, and that's only a good thing. Maybe Jadon Blue, but he won't play all that much until later on in the year, probably till after, a month and a half in. Once they realize Javonte is not good, can't catch the ball that well. If he does, he'll take it for 4 yards and nothing much more. Miles Sanders, not that good either. So, Dak, I love him if he can stay healthy. Big upside there for where you're drafting him at. Jane Daniels, I got a 6. I don't know. Yeah, yes, he does have the rushing upside, which will obviously help. Brian Robinson Jr. not there anymore. But I don't like going super chalk with my rankings. I try to mix it up a little bit because it doesn't matter where we have them ranked. It'll be different at the end of the year, right? And I think of the top 5 with Allen, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Joey Burrow, and Jaden Daniels, I think he would be the most likely one to regress. 1, sophomore slump, and 2, Terry McLaurin is back now, which is great for him. But he was holding out for a little bit, and again, we see time and time again with players, they kind of end up taking a step back before they get back into football shape, and with a game plan, and before they're fully back and integrated in the team. So I think that'll hurt him a little bit there. But all in all, he'll still be great for your team. I just think where he's being drafted is too high. Baker, number 7. They got all the pieces back. Yes, Godwin's injured, but they have Igbokwe to fill in. Auden is injured right now. Week 1 up in the air, but that's okay. Tristan Wirfs is injured right now, so that'll take a hit. I feel mainly for the running game. It will affect Baker, but not a whole lot. You can't say enough about the guy. Been playing great. I think the offense will keep on clicking even after Liam Cohen is gone. I think they're going to be perfectly fine with the Grizz over there as offensive coordinator. Number 8. Don't know how I feel about it, but Caleb Williams. I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One, he can make plays extended on his feet, which usually that'll bode well, right? When the pocket doesn't end up collapsing, he can scramble around and make a play happen. He has all the playmakers in the world for that. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Luther Burden. Then for the tight ends, Cole Kmet, love him. Colston Loveland, love him. And DeAndre Swift, happy about that. Ton of playmakers they can have out there in any given play who can end up, scrambling with him and, kind of redirecting their own route and trying to, go to whichever side he's going to. It'll take time, which is why he's only number 8 right now, to kind of learn the Ben Johnson offense. And they have a really tough schedule, which is reason number 2. They're going to have to throw the ball. Their offensive line is better, which is great for the run game, but Swift isn't a between-the-tackle guy. We don't know yet if they're going to be an outside zone run team or if they're going to be a gap scheme. I don't even think he's really sure. They're going to probably maybe test a little bit here in the opening month. Then they have bye week 5. Then maybe they'll change it if they need to. But Caleb Williams, tough schedule in terms of facing really good teams, which is why they're going to have to throw the ball. I feel a lot more than people think. And the O-line will be great for him. Play calling will be so much better. Caleb Williams, everything is looking up for him. More so, I think, after the initial month. I think after that is when he'll really turn it on, after they have the bye week. Number 9, Drake May. Love him with rushing upside. Offensive line, a little bit better now with Will Campbell. They have Diggs now. They have Afton Chisholm, made the 53-man. He's been playing well. Pop Doug is a pretty good athlete. Not too sure how well he'll do. I think he'll be okay. He's not a bum, I don't think, but he's nothing special from what we've seen. Granted, they haven't had many good quarterbacks to throw to them. Who they have Jacoby Brissett last year before Drake May came in. Really bad O-line too. So I think the O-line will hold back Drake May, but the rushing upside and being able to scramble will cancel each other out a little bit to where he'll finish number 9. If Diggs does come back to form, which it sounds like he's been pretty well in, training camp, which could be coach speak, don't know for sure, but I like Drake May. I like Stephon Diggs. I like what they got going on with Vrabel over there. The one thing that could hold him back, though, would be the defense being so damn good that they're not really going to have to throw the ball a ton. But, we'll find out. Kyler, number 10. He has rushing. It's going to be ugly. Top 10, performance, but I think he finished top 10 last year, if I'm not wrong. I like how I had that up. I forgot if it was RELA or RELE. Let's see. Kyler Murray. What did he finish last year? Okay, it's not even showing me. Sweet. Anyway, pretty sure he finished top 12, probably top 10. I think number 9. I think it'll repeat. Their defense is better, so it might not be as good for him in terms of throwing the ball, but, you hope Marv ends up making a year 2 jump. Hope McBride actually ends up getting some, touchdowns, within the 10-yard line. It won't only be James Conner, ideally. Kyler will end up benefiting from that, and I feel like, he'll be a fine quarterback, but you're not going to be happy when you play him. It'll be 13-point performances, and other times he'll have, 24 plus. It'll be coin flip. It'll be coin flip. Unless James Conner ends up getting injured, then I think they'll be better off, for sure. For sure. I'm going to try to speed through the rest of them after we hit the top 12, and then we'll go from there. Bo Nix coming in at 11. I think they will regress. I kind of want to move him down, so that's actually what I'm going to do. Probably should have did this before, but that is okay. Okay. Brock Purdy at 11. Christian McCaffrey is healthy. George Kittle healthy, entering the year. Ayuk won't be there, but he didn't really have Ayuk last year either. Juwan Jennings with a calf injury, but Ricky Pierce out with the whole year after being shot, and now he has a whole off season under his belt, training camp, everything in between. He's not really going to be missing a beat in terms of having a wideout one. He's not a super athlete or anything, but he can get the job done. He can get open, and I think it'll be good for Purdy in that offense. And their defense ended up losing, I think like a handful of defensive starters, which they could replenish, but I think their defense won't be as good as people might think, and that'll bode well for the offense needing to throw a little more. Even if Christian McCaffrey goes down, while they have Garendo, the offense will be fine, but Garendo will go down because he's been injured like every year he's played, college ball and pro. With B-Rob is interesting. I like Jordan James. I feel like he'd be better for that offense than Brian Robinson, but yeah, I feel like if Garendo, even if he goes down, Jordan James should be okay to fill that role if they don't trade for anybody after that. Then rounding out the top 12, Jordan Love. After Michael Parsons, I didn't really move him. I don't know. It's tough with Jordan Love because we know that. Sorry about that. We know that the talent is there for sure, but the offensive weapons aren't. Like, yes, they have Matthew Golden, but he's not a college producer. He's more potential. Micah Parsons now should make that defense better. So maybe they only have to run the ball a little more often than, late third, fourth quarter. Not to put the ball in the hands of Love as often. Josh Jacobs is a great running back. He'll have a bunch of, goal line tutties in the, in the 10-15 yard line. So that which will cap Love's top five potential that he does have, and Jaden Reed too with the Jones fracture. I think I heard it's just mainly a pain tolerance thing from what I heard, but that can really be a huge hindrance on a guy who ends up relying more on being shifty to create his openness. So I think that'll end up hurting him, not having Reed out there. Dobbs and Wicks or whatever, Watson, even if he does come back, he won't be doing anything. Coming off ACL, players need more than, just the recovery timeline. But outside of that, now we have Bo Nix. Defense is going to be really good for Denver. Yes, they have RJ Harvey now, an actual pass-catching running back, but they also have J.K. Dobbins, a better runner, when healthy, than anybody they had in the running back room last year. So I feel like he'll be a fine quarterback. Still has the rushing upside, but with Dobbins healthy, I feel like he might not get as much goal line work as what he did last year, which will end up putting a cap on him. Jared Goff at 14. I think Lions offense will take a step back, both with Ben Johnson being gone and their defense actually being healthy now. They're not going to have to put up 28 plus if they don't need to. Will they anyway? Dan Campbell might want it to happen that way, but losing a couple offensive linemen, I think will take a hit to everybody on the team, and I think Goff will be part of that for sure. Herbert 15. His ceiling will always be capped now, playing under Greg Roman. They have Amari and Hampton, which would be great for them, better than Dobbins and Gus Edwards. You would like to think he's better than both of them coming in. Even Najee's better than both of them, you'd think. I might take a healthy Dobbins over Najee, but season long, Najee, he's played every game of his career. So, Patty Mahomes, after that, TBD on him. They say they want to throw the ball more, but Rashi's suspended for the initial 6 games of the year, which will limit his ceiling, and the defense is going to be great again, you'd think. So, that'll hold him back. JJ McCarthy, 17, could easily finish top 12 with KOC. I just feel like Addison being out of the initial 3 games will hurt a little bit. But, I mean, the upside is there. He can, run around, scramble a little bit. I think he'll be a fine quarterback for sure. I could easily, like right now, jump him up from 17 up to 13 if I really wanted to. Just because of the Kevin O'Connell effect. But they have Jordan Mason now, a better number 2 than Ty Chandler last year. The offensive line is more improved in the interior with Donovan Jackson, Will Fries, I think, and was it Ryan Kelly, the Indianapolis center, to shore up the inside. And I think they had a tackle too who was injured, who was like a pass. Number 6 for run blocking, if I'm not wrong, for PFF. So could run, look to run the ball a little more earlier on in the year, especially the opening 3 games with Addison injured, or pardon me, not injured, but suspended. But I mean, again, could easily see top 12 finish. I got Tua, 18. Injury history is TBD in terms of entering the year. Could get injured at any point. You got Tyreek Hill, who wants to trade, even though he said he's happy now. We all know he ain't. He wants out of there, especially when they begin to lose, because their offensive line is completely banged up. And their corners are banged up too. So they're going to throw the ball a lot, which could be good for Tyreek. But that means more dropbacks for Tua, higher likelihood of something happening to him. So Justin Fields, only the rushing upside, nothing much to talk about there. T-Law has upside for sure, but he has injury history too. And it might take a little bit of time under Cohen. I don't think it will. I feel like the transition will be pretty seamless, with BTJ. But they don't have Evan Ingram anymore. They don't have that tight end. Brenton Strange will be kind of TBD on how we end up seeing how he ends up playing under Cohen. But, Cade Otton wasn't all that much last year other than 3 games. But that's when Evans was out for 1 or 2 of them and Godwin for all 3 of them. He really only had 3 good games back to back. And then one of them was Atlanta, who's really bad against tight ends. But, we'll see. We'll see how the offense ends up looking. I think the defense will keep being terrible. So they should throw the ball a lot. But, again, capped rushing upside. And just maybe the inability to move the ball down the field with the running game will limit how many touchdowns he'll throw, which will end up, putting a cap on the ceiling. Stroud at 21, offensive line terrible now with Tunsil being traded, or even worse, I should say. Should probably be a bottom 5, bottom 3 offensive line. Won't be good for a non-scrambling quarterback. That is what ends up making me worry about Nico, but the talent I think will be too much. But Stroud will have a cap ceiling. He might only have 2 games throwing over 300 yards because he just won't have enough time to throw the ball. Michael Penix only have 3 games. We need more. 2 of them he didn't look good, but he's a rookie. 1 of them looked fine, shootout against Carolina, but even then, I'm not banking on it. 3-game sample to show if he's good or not. And their offensive line is worse now. Losing the right tackle, which is a big deal. Forgot how long. If it's a year long, that'd be terrible. Might put Bryce Young ahead of him then, but right tackle gone, Drew Dahlman gone to the Chicago Bears in free agency, and Darnell Mooney's injured right now with a shoulder injury. Was labeled week to week, I think, not too long ago. So we'll find out if he'll play week 1 or week 2 or when he'll come back. But Bryce Young, 23. I just don't have a lot of faith in him. He played much better coming back. Dave Canales, I think, could be one of the play callers that no matter who he has, he'll make it work for the most part. Like, Kyle Shanahan or... I can't really say LaFleur, but, like Shanahan, like McVay, their play calling, like KOC, their play calling will always be, will trump, whatever quarterback they have available to play. All right. Final few, I'm going to speed through them. Gino, cap ceiling, not playing with DK or JSN. Jacoby is the only guy established right now, but he does want to trade. Will he be traded? I don't think he will. I think the two teams will come to an agreement for, Myers and the Raiders. But, I mean, yeah, they have Bowers and Genty who can catch the ball, but I don't know. I think the offense will end up being kind of capped. Gino's a fine quarterback, but nothing great. Cam Ward, offensive line is really bad, which will hold him back. They only have Ridley for a weapon. They really don't have much else other than that for a wideout. So, tough draw for him, but better than Cleveland. Rodgers, Steelers' offensive line is bad. He can't scramble. They only have DK Metcalf. It just isn't looking good at all. Darnold behind the Seattle offensive line, terrible under pressure. They only have JSN, and they brought in Cooper Kupp, but he's a shell of himself when playing. And if they brought in Cooper Kupp, you probably think he's going to play inside, because they should know he can't really win in man or press coverage anymore at this stage of his career. So they're going to try to get him in zone reads to where he can, kind of sit in the little area, and hopefully Darnold can throw it to him. But I don't have a lot of faith in Darnold. Behind that O-line too doesn't help. Indiana quarterback, I don't know who it'll be. I mean, we know Danny Dimes right now. That could change later on in the year. Much better overall system for Danny Dimes over in Indy compared to the Giants, but I mean, I kind of want to move him up over Gino, but again, it could be a Rich later on. So if you're going for year long, Gino's a better bet. But if we knew it'd be Danny Dimes all year long, I'd probably put him. I might even put him over Michael Penix, because he does have a rushing upside. We all know that. Much better overall team. On the offense, has more than one great weapon. He has 5 fine weapons with Downs, Pittman, Warren, Pierce. Adonai Mitchell had a good training camp against Baltimore, but haven't heard much else from him. JT's not a pass catcher, but after that, Stafford is so low because of the back injury. Don't know how much it'll limit him early on in the year, and that will flare up again. There's no way it won't flare up. If it flared up already in non-contact, it will flare up again in contact. It's a rough thing. Giants quarterback, Russ early on and Dart later on. That's what it'll be. They didn't really add any weapons to the offense other than Scatterboo, which I like, but hammy injury will end up hindering him early on in the year. And I just don't have a lot of faith in Tracy or that O-line to really help him out all that much. And the Browns quarterback, it'll be Flacco opening up, and then he'll get benched for Dylan Gabriel. Other than Gabriel will probably get benched for Flacco for a game or two, and then it'll be a fucking carousel, and Shador will come in, and it'll be bad. Alright, running back is should be a little bit quicker. I'm gonna put. I don't want to do that. There we go. I'm gonna have Jahmyr Gibbs number 1 because of the right tackle injury to the Atlanta offensive line and Dahlman being gone. Bijan the talent is maybe better than Gibbs. I mean, flip a coin, pick your poison between the two of them. Both are fantastic. Both are top 3, I should say. Pardon me, Saquon. Top three overall. But Jahmyr, they lost a couple offensive linemen too, but I think that'll help him out. I think it'll hurt Monty way more. I think it'll help out Gibbs, and the schedule is going to be a lot tougher too. Like if they keep playing the same kind of defense over in Detroit, where they just bash people with, reckless abandon, then I don't even know if I said that right, but like if they just get injured again, not all of them, but like even a third of them, that'll bode well for Jameer. They're gonna throw the ball more, which he's been rumored to play a little bit of slot. I thought I heard in training camp. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not really accounting that for his number one, but I just think he has a higher upside. So why not take him at number one, where he should be on the field more now that the offensive line isn't as good to create holes for Monty, who's more of a byproduct of the offensive line, where Jameer can make his own plays. And Bijan number two, talent is there. There's not really too much to say to him. Pretty cut and dry there. I was just mainly explaining why I switched to the two. Saquon number three because of the talent, but as I mentioned with Jalen, talking about him number three, Saquon number three because he probably won't rush for as many yards as he did again, and the risk for injury is pretty high. So you have to be really careful about that. Saquon's more of a player that I kind of, if I drafted him, I'd probably want to offload him down tier. Trade Saquon for Hampton or Henderson, and a wideout if I'm short, or if I have like a lower tier tight end, try to trade up for one of the better guys if I can in the package, but probably running back and wideout. But yeah, Saquon talent top three again overall, but the injury potential is concerning because he has been injury prone during his career. He's played 2 full years, I think. I don't even think this will show me again. I don't even know why I'm looking. Let's see. Yep, injured. 23, 22 played every game other than one. Oh, it's down here. Okay, 16 last year, 14, 16, 13, 2, 13, 16. So, I feel like this is more or less an outlier. I will count it against him, but at the same time I won't. But even then, 13, or 14. So it could happen again. Then we got Ashton Jeanty number 4 because they're full point PPR. With Jakobi Meyers being traded, if he does end up getting traded, then Jeanty should be 4. For right now, I might keep Henry at 5, but I'm more likely to draft a guy like Mark Andrews later on, assuming you get Henry at the end of the first turn on the second. Mark Andrews will probably be there, at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He should be there in the 7-8 turn, I would think. If not, whatever. I like Mark Andrews just because of the early season tight end schedule and likely having the ankle injury, I believe it was. He'll take a little bit of time to come back, and that does hurt him. And Mark Andrews coming back now. I know he had some type of injury, he got in a car crash. I don't know if he was injured from it, but just a year away from that, you'd like to think it'd be overall better for him now, right? And then, Jeanty, if Jacoby ends up getting traded, then number 4 for sure. Because of that O-line being bad, his rushing upside will be capped, but I should say the touchdowns should probably be capped for him. But I do think that his PPR points, I think he'll catch, 40, 50 balls. We saw it a couple of years ago at Boise. Not this past year, because all they did was a run with him, which they should have. It was much more effective and higher percentage to, net a positive gain. But, yeah, Jeanty I like a lot. Talent is there, just not the offensive line. But even then, I think he'll be able to create on his own, and the PPR will keep him afloat enough. Then again, got Henry at 5. Just can't really catch the ball from what we've seen because they have Hill. So that'll take away from him being number 1. Really. But talent is there, upside with being able to finish number 1, rushing upside, touchdown upside, and just everything far and few between. And Lamar had 40 passing touchdowns last year. I don't think that'll happen again. Even if he only ends up, even if he drops down to like mid 30s, like yeah, they might not score them at all, but those extra 5 touchdowns they could have in theory. You'd like to think another couple will go to Henry, but Josh Jacobs number 6 with Micah being traded now to Green Bay. Again, they can run the ball a little more often in the late third, fourth down, fourth quarter. So I think that'll bode well for him. And with Reed being injured too, that'll bode well for him with, again, having overall more touches. They have Marshawn Lloyd is injured again. Just he will never play, I fear. But tough break for him. Chase Brown, number 7. Again, I mean, we saw what he did last year after Zach Moss went down and when he got the bulk of the touches. They didn't really add anybody other than Taj Brooks, but I mean, everything is kind of, we'll believe it when we do see it, but you have to think he's not really going to be a threat to his touches. Yeah, he had like 90+% for that stretch for Chase Brown. Even if it ends up dropping to 80, I don't think it'll affect him at all. I really don't. Bucky number 8. Yeah, I mean, even with Tristan Wirfs going down for the opening part of the season, not having Godwin I think will be good for him. Rachaad White had the hammy injury or maybe the groin injury the second preseason game. So TBD if he'll be back there for the number 2 running back or if it'll be Sean Tucker. But if Bucky could be healthy, like again, I don't think the offense will really change all that much. Even without Cohen, with having Grizz as offensive coordinator, I feel like they're going to be pretty much the same. I feel like they'll be okay. So that definitely has the upside to be number 1 too, with Godwin out. If he ends up getting the passing work a little more, that'd be really nice. But I feel like that could go to Rashad or Sean Tucker. But number 9, JT, has an injury history, has a top 3 potential. But yeah, the injury history, man, is worrying for sure. Now their offensive line, after losing Fries and their center Kelly, should be worse. So he might not be able to create on his own as much, which is why I have him at 9. HN at 10, top 1 potential. But that'll rely on his health, Tua's health. And yeah, that's pretty much it at this point. Like, their offensive line is already cooked. 2 injuries, 2 people on IR for the year. Not looking good. Not looking good for the running game. And they have Ollie Gordon too, which could dispel the goal line work more than Jalen Wright did last year, or Raheem. But HN, top 1 potential, as I mentioned. With the offensive line being so bad, they could throw a little more, and if Tyreek got traded too, that could bump him up. But I just think the touchdowns aren't going to be there for him this year. He might cap out at 7 total, which would be a big hit on him. And again, the soft tissue injury doesn't help either. But Hampton at 11, even with Najee reportedly being, looking like he's in, practice and pads and contact and all that, it doesn't matter. I don't think that'll affect Hampton. What will is Rashawn Slater. Otherwise, I'd have Hampton probably higher than JT. But Hampton, great talent. Can run the ball, catch the ball decently well, and he doesn't really have any competition behind him. I mean, Najee will play eventually, but I don't think it'll be the initial couple weeks. And by then, he could already establish him with Roman liking him, and they're going to rely on him in a 75-25 split earlier on in the year. We don't know. But Kyron Williams, number 12, just because of the workload he should have. There are reports that he will be sharing the backfield a little more. I don't know if it'll be with Corum. I feel like if anybody, it would be with Jaquez Hunter. I feel like I was right about that name. Maybe not the pronunciation. Jarquez, pardon me, not Jar. Jarquez Hunter has more burst and big play upside compared to Kyron. He's not super efficient. He's more of a volume kind of running back, which is why he's been producing the way he has. Could be the same thing this year. It might take a little bit for, running back rookie to get accustomed to the, McVay offense, and, we don't know how it'll end up looking, but you'd have to favor the guy who's been there for 3-4 years now, putting in work every year for them. Alvin Kamara, number 13. I have faith in Kellen Moore. Amazing offensive coordinator, play caller. Even with Rattler starting, it doesn't really affect Kamara. I mean, big boys in between Rattler or Shuck. Both aren't going to be good. Both are going to be bad. But Alvin looked like he remained untouched for the most part last year. So why not again? He could be traded too, which I feel like, well, we don't know. Depending on where he ends up going, could be good, could be bad. But I think because of the lack of injuries last year, other than Pacheco was like the only one really for like a long period of time to the running backs, this year will be flipped. A bunch of them are going to be getting hurt. Hopefully not, but just, kind of how things end up equaling out. But I think I think Alvin will be fine. I feel like he'll finish the top 15 back. If, playing every game or, 16 games of the year, I feel like he'll be a very good pick, very safe. He has upside to finish top 12 for sure, but, I don't think top 10. I don't think top 8, barring injuries to, multiple running backs. James Cook at 14 because of the touchdowns. Even though they probably will go down, or they will for sure go down this year, he's a fine pick. Does have that upside to get, multiple 20-point games for you. Just his main thing holding him back is Josh Allen, taking his goal line touches. But they kind of take each other's, so ends up balancing out. K9 at 15, just because of the injury history and the bad offensive line. It is a little bit better, and the scheme should be better for him compared to Sharps for their overall talent and athletic ability, but the injury history is keeping him at 15. Otherwise, he'd probably be 9. Yeah, he'd probably be 9. TreVeyon Henderson, he has all the opportunity early on because he can pass block like no other rookie coming into the NFL, which will be great for a guy like Vrabel. He'll want to see that. And Ramondre's always had a fumbling problem, so when that does happen, which should happen again, Henderson should get all the touches, barring injury. Ideally, you only want him playing 70% at most. If not, we saw, a couple years at Ohio State early on, if he ends up getting the bulk, and like a big bulk, like maybe 85+% of touches, he'll get injured probably. So you want him around that 70 mark to keep him, a little bit fresh and to lower the chance of getting injured. James Conner has 17 because of the injury history, but he has a really good schedule early on. And, Trey Benson could play a little more than what people think. James Conner isn't the much better back right now from what we've seen, but they're talking about 1A, 1B, and the injury history is why he's, being held back at 17 for me. Christian McCaffrey, okay. Christian McCaffrey at 18 is where I would draft him. So, my rankings are partially where I think they could finish, partially will involve, the risk and where I would take them in a draft, and part of it is where I feel comfortable in taking them. Obviously, McCaffrey has top 1 upside, the only guy at this point. I don't trust him. Honestly, after the Tajay Spears going on IR with a high ankle sprain too. It was a high ankle sprain. That's gonna prolong. It'll be longer than the 4 weeks. He'll be on the PUP for IR. mean, yeah, technically it'll be like 5 or 6 because of the when it did happen, and after coming off the pup, but or the IR. But that can go for a long time, for the whole year. And Tajay has an injury history too. He can get dinged up again for sure, for sure. Unfortunately, he's a great talent. I think he's a better talent than Pollard, but O-line still not that good. It is a little better. I know I didn't mention that for Cam Ward, but I forgot they got Kevin Zeigler, from the Lions, and one other guy who's average lineman from what I ended up reading on him. But I mean, without Tajay back there, he had like 3 out of 4 games last year that Tajay didn't play. He got over 100 yards on the ground. Pardon me. And I mean, honestly, with Cam Ward, you'd have to think the offense will move a little more. Touchdown, opportunity will be there a little more. And yeah, I mean, I like Pollard a lot more this year than I did before the injury, obviously, which is why he's up here now at 18. Honestly, I might take him over James Conner. If I have Trey McBride on my team, I'm taking Pollard over Conner. Just because I don't want 2 Cardinals on my team like that. I really don't. I only want 1 at most. And I don't want Marv. I only want Trey McBride or James Conner or Trey Benson later on, but nothing more. Or their defense. As you see, I have him number 12, but we'll get to that later. But, yep, got Pollard at 18. Breece Hall at 19, just because of Fields will hold him back, and the offensive coordinator and head coach both coming from the Lions, had the whole Monty and Jameer 1-2 punch. They're going to try that with Breece and Braylon Allen, which will just cap Breece Hall even more. So, bad situation for the guy. I hope he ends up getting traded or ends up walking after this year. I forgot if it's a contract year for him or not, but I think it might be. I hope he ends up walking and just going to a better team like Chicago. I'd much rather have Breece Hall than Swift. Oh my God, are you kidding me? That'd be a dream come true. If you're Chicago, and if you're smart, you do that. Like, yeah, we have guys like Jeremiah Love coming into the draft, and Nicholas Singleton, or Singletary, I forgot. I think it's Singleton from Penn State. Kaytron Allen from Penn State too, but I'd rather have the other 2, as I mentioned before him, Jeremiah Love and Nick Singleton. There's a guy from Minnesota. I thought there was a guy from North Carolina too. I could be wrong. I thought there was one more guy who was like projected to do really well this year for running backs, but I mean, I'd rather have them than Swift as well, but also I'd rather not have to spend I think we'll be like a mid first round pick because of our schedule being really tough for Chicago. I don't want to spend it on a running back that early on. Only Jeremiah Love would be the only one worth it, but even then, no thank you. I'd rather get an edge rusher because we need one bad, real bad. But maybe around 2 we get a running back, but I'd rather just pay Breece Hall. Like running backs don't get paid shit. And your team, like, yeah, we spent a lot in the off season, but whatever. I'm going off on a little tangent. I just think Breece Hall would be much better off in Chicago, or literally any other team. Chicago would be ideal for him too. Ben would make great use of him and the talent, but 19 for Breece Hall. This might be where I take Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he'll be gone, long gone by then, but injury history, man, it scares the shit out of me. I'm not really touching him at all. I don't have one single Christian McCaffrey stock for any best ball or like normal draft with with people, not on any team of mine. So just gonna keep that there. DeAndre Swift at 21, upside is capped because they have way too many people to feed. Way too many people to feed. You have to think that if only 2 of them are gonna be like return on ADP this year. for like skill positions, and I feel like the only ones would be because Loveland is going like around 11 or 12, I think, for tight ends off the board, which is fine. But I mean, I feel like the only two would be Caleb Williams and a wideout, either Rome or DJ. Will pay off ADP. Just because of how many people they have to feed, and their defense is good, so they're not going to have to throw the ball all the time, even if their schedule is really tough. They might try to keep it a little bit more balanced. Isaiah Pacheco at 22 could be the steal of the draft. He looked normal in the preseason, which is good. I think they rushed him back last year. That's what I thought they did, and turned out. I mean, we saw his production compared to Kareem Hunt. Like, yeah, they end up losing Joe Tooney, but they got an actual left tackle from Ohio State. I forgot the name. Simmons, I think. Joshua Simmons. But, yeah, I mean, Pacheco could finish as a top 15 guy, for sure. They didn't really add too much talent. Elijah Mitchell's injured every other hour. Brashon Smith won't be up, between the tackle guy. Then who's the other guy behind? Oh, they still have Kareem Hunt. I don't know. I feel like Pacheco is going to be back to, near full health, because he had an ankle injury, which really messed up a running back pretty badly. Chuba at 23. They have Rico Dowdle to take away the third down work for the most part. They have more weapons on offense, even with Thielen being traded. They have Ted McMillan now. I just don't think that touchdown upside will be there for Chuba. I really don't. I think having Ted there will open up things for Xavier Legette if they kind of have him as more of like a drag kind of guy, which is what he did pretty well in South Carolina. And Coker has been good. I think with Thielen gone too, Coker will be in the slot. And again, he did well last year. So, Chuba, good talent, but too many people around him now, and Bryce Young would have to be a top 15, top 14 guy. Because Chuba can't, be a top 15 guy like he was last year, only on the ground. It won't happen. Defense is still really bad too, so they're gonna have to throw the ball. So Rico Dowdle should probably be higher up than what I have him. Maybe I'll change that as I go. Then I'll finish with RJ Harvey, 24, just because J.K. Dobbins right now, starting guy. RJ Harvey has to learn pass protection, but haven't heard much about that, which is not good. Good news is neutral. No news or bad news is bad. That's pretty much what coach speak will end up, amounting to, unless you're like Dan Campbell, who actually has a good track record. But I mean, yeah, he has potential to be top 12. But again, the defense is going to hold them back because they're not going to have to throw the ball a ton. And I mean, maybe that'll be better for him. But I mean, you really want to hope that he ends up being a between the tackle guy and a pass catcher. But I don't think he'll be both this year. I don't think he will. I'll skim through the other guys pretty quickly. Jones at 25, shared backfield, injury prone, to miss a couple games each year, other than last year, but because he didn't last year, he will this year, so I have him pretty low, or I have him at 25 for that reason. Jalen Warren eventually will get taken over by Caleb Johnson, but I don't like anybody on that offense. I have yet to draft a Steeler in any draft. I just don't like it at all. Not because of Rodgers, but because of the offensive line. Can't block for him, and they're going to be in negative situations more often than not. And I don't know. I just don't like Arthur Smith. I don't like him for anybody. Jordan Mason, 27, because of the 1A, 1B we've been hearing about. Better offensive line and the injury history to Aaron Jones, but both of their ceilings are capped because of one another. Travis Etienne. I mean, they drafted Bashal Tuden. They talked about him even before the draft. And they have a lot of faith in him, but he has a fumble issue. And when that ends up popping up, they're going to throw the ball because, again, their defense shouldn't be that good. and Etienne's a much better pass catcher than Tank. So I think Etienne will be better than what people think, but you're not going to be happy when you play him because you'll have a bad week when you play him. You'll bench him, he'll have a better week, then you'll play him the following week in hopes that he'll end up doing that again, and it'll feel bad. But I think he'll be better than what some people think. He'll be matchup dependent. Caleb Johnson, I don't have faith in him. He was a byproduct of the offensive line over in Iowa, I think. I mean, I don't like him at all. And a shared backfield, too, behind a bad offensive line. Like, I'm planting my flag on Caleb Johnson being a bad running back this year. Until they get rid of Arthur Smith and until they improve the offensive line, I think just the situation is bad for him. If he went somewhere else, I'd be more in on him, but he got really unlucky with the situation. Good for the backfield, but everything else is not good for him. So Javonte, Cam Scadaboo, J.K., Tracy, David Monty is probably the biggest surprise here at 34. I just don't like him at all this year, which I'll get more into later on. Alright, I'm really going to try to speed through this. Wideouts are a little less controversial, if you will, because they don't have as much injury history to talk about or any fear of that. But Ja'Marr Chase number 1, for obvious reasons. Will he finish number 1? I don't know. You have to bet that he will. With nothing really changing, over the Bengals, so that should only be good for them. CeeDee Lamb number 2, no more Micah because he's easily finished number 1, but I think Pickens will cap it. Even if he does finish number 1, it won't be more than what Ja'Marr had last year, or than what CeeDee himself had 2 years ago. I think it'll be capped around maybe 345, 360 in that range, which is still great. You love that. But also you have to rely on Dak being healthy for a whole year, which will happen every other year. But he got injured last year, so this year should be the year he'll be healthy again, right? JJ at number 3, obvious talent, amazing player. Addison gone for the initial 3 weeks, and Jalen Johnson is TBD on playing week 1 when they play Chicago. So that'll just be even better. That'll go from maybe a 13, 14-point game to scoring an extra 12 to 15 easily. Could put up 25 plus because of Jalen Johnson. And that could be the difference right there between, finishing 5 and 3. But Nico at number 4, just because of the upside of being able to finish at number 1, and they have no running game over in Houston. The offensive line does worry me, but Nico can get open and has on his own, so I'm not super worried about it, but I would like to see the offensive line not be bottom 3. If they're bottom 5, whatever. Nothing changed, but if they're bottom 2, bottom 3, then it's like, damn, they actually took a step back. Which can't happen. They don't have Tunsil anymore, so I don't know what they're going to do. BTJ at number 5. I don't know what to do about BTJ. I kind of want to put him down behind A.J. Brown, but the talent is obviously there. I just think, even though T-Law's never supported a top 12 wideout, I think, other than, was it Christian Kirk one year? I could be wrong on that. Maybe he was a top 15 guy or top 18, but talent is clearly there. They have no more Evan Ingram. Travis Hunter, I think, will help him out, truth be told. And I think Cohen will try to put BTJ in the slot more. So, or he'll try to move him around more often, I should say. And I think that'll only be good for Brian Thomas. So, top 5 with top 2 upside, for sure. With that defense being bad again, they're going to have to throw the ball. So, and if they can't run with Tuden, who has fumbling issues, and Tank, maybe they're just not happy with him. Again, maybe they should put Etienne out there if he's, their best third down back, and they throw to BTJ, I don't know, 140 targets. Could you imagine if he got that? Oh my God. London, number 6, top. his top 5 upside. I don't think he has top 1 upside just because of the right tackle being injured. Well, it will hurt London. Some guys it won't hurt for an offensive lineman. Like I don't think Mike Evans will be hurt because of the proven track record. But again, it's because of Michael Penix's three game showing. So we got 2 of them look bad. One of them was good because of the shootout against Carolina. I mean, we don't have much to go off of, other than the offensive coordinator put London in better places compared to year 1 and 2 with was it Smith, Arthur Smith, I feel like, for London's first and second year. So top 5 upside, but 6 is kind of peaking, I feel, and I'm kind of putting him there, which I am okay with. I am okay with that. Because Malik has had a little bit of injury history. He's been able to play through it for the most part, but the rotating quarterbacks could be a little iffy. Dart did look good. I don't know. It's tough there. Scadaboo is there now. That'll help out the running game a little bit more. And they got Abdul Carter, which will be great for the defensive line, which maybe they won't throw the ball as much. They still probably will, a lot, but maybe not as much. So maybe Malik won't get 180 targets. He should, but, might go down to 155, which will cap his ceiling. And again, the little injury history he's had, he's been able to play through it, but it does worry me a smidge. If I'd pick between the two, I don't know. I think because full point PPR, I'll go with Malik. If it was half point, probably Drake London, but full point, I'll go Malik. But again, pick your poison between the two of them. You really can't go wrong, I don't think. If you're a believer in Penix, shoot, pick London. If you're on him like me, then you should go Malik. Drake London, then, I already talked about him. Dropped down to 7, pardon me. AJ Brown at 8, because I think Saquon, again, high risk of getting injured. Looked great last year, like he has every year. And again, even if Saquon doesn't get injured, you'd have to think they won't run the ball as much. Maybe, maybe not. But, I mean, great talent. I love him. AJ Brown's a phenomenal talent. Phenomenal, for sure. Puka number 9, because of Stafford. Jimmy G won't be able to hold either Puka or Devontae at wideout 1 week to week. We'll have weeks where one of them will finish as the top 12 guy, but other weeks where both of them finish outside the top 18, top 20. Terrible. Puka has top 2 upside. Mike Evans, number 10, because of Godwin being out until October, but I think it'll be longer because they're not going to want to rush him back if they're, 1, in playoff contention or looking good early on, and 2, Ibuka ends up looking good. If Ibuka ends up looking good, which that's all we've heard about so far, then why rush Godwin back? There's no point. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to have him back, but you ain't got to rush it. You have enough talent on the offensive side of the ball. Auden should be back and healthy by then if he doesn't get re-injured. And you're fine. You got Bucky, Rashad White, you got Auden, Mike, Ibuka. I don't know who's behind him with McMillan injured now, but yeah, I mean, Mike Evans is great. You'll see I have Amon-Ra at 11, which is a little bit shocking, I'm sure, but the Lions offense will take a step back, and Ben loved the slot position, partially because of the talent, for sure. Well, we've only heard, again, coach speak. If you hear good, take it with a grain of salt. Pretty neutral. If you hear nothing to bad, but that ain't good. That usually ain't good. And we've only heard he had like a cleanup surgery, which I'm not really worried about. I think on the knee. But we've heard the offense hasn't been clicking quite how they would like it, and their defense is back and healthy entering the year. again, if they can be healthy, in the real life, they'll be top five, even with Aaron Glenn not there anymore. They have too much talent not to be top five. Too much talent. But that'll end up capping Goff. That'll end up capping Amon-Ra for how much they need to throw the ball. The offense as a whole. So that's why I have Amon-Ra at 11. I wouldn't blame people if they picked Amon-Ra over Drake, AJ Brown, Puka, or Mike Evans, but this is probably where I'd pick him. And we've been hearing about good things, mainly about Jameer and JMO. JMO's been getting a lot of coach speak, both from the offense coordinator and from Dan Campbell a wee bit. So, I don't know. I'm not high on Amon-Ra. Again, we see players all the time in rounds 1 and 2, they drop down. They don't finish because of their ADP or where they're drafted at their ADP, even if they're healthy all year, just because of the situation ends up changing year to year. I think that'll end up happening to him this year too. All right, T at 12 to round out the top 12. Nothing has changed. He'll probably be out for a couple games, but when he's playing, he'll be great. Nothing much more there. Ladd 13, great talent. Keenan Allen doesn't scare me much at all. Hampton will make sure he can move the ball down the field and he can get open anywhere on the field. So, looking good for Ladd. Devontae Adams at 14. I have him there because of the talent. I feel like I'm drafting him, or I feel like I have him ranked at his ceiling. Because I don't know if Stafford can have both Puka and Adams as top 12. Man. But you know what? I'm going to keep it there. Adams is still a great wideout. We haven't really seen the drop-off happen to him yet. So, again, Stafford ends up getting injured and Jimmy G comes in. Poor Adams, he'll finish out of the top 24 like every week. But I don't know, he's too good of a talent not to bank on it. Not to be able to bank on it. So, risky pick, him and Puka. But Xavier Worthy at 15, just because of Rice being out for the initial month and a half. It might take a couple games to get back and acclimated. And yeah, they say they want to throw the ball downfield more, and I think they should. They're too talented not to. Like, they barely did it last year. You have Patty on your team. Why not do it? Why not do it? JSN at 16, just because of being full point PPR. I don't really like him that much this year. Honestly, I'd rather have Ted McMillan and Pickens over him. But because of a full point, you kind of have to. But the thing is, I don't know how much they're going to be playing him in the slot. That's why I have him so low. Like, they brought in Cooper Kupp. He can't play on the outside. He can't. Are you gonna have the rookie Torrey Horton on the outside? Sure, you could, but maybe early on you're gonna have Kupp do that, or maybe you're gonna have Kupp go in the slot where he can actually win because he can't win on the outside. And then JSN on the outside, he's fine, but it's not gonna put him numbers like he did last year. When Darnold ain't good under pressure, he can't scramble. So I don't know. I'm worried about JSN. Tet at 17. Still, I have a ton of faith in Bryce Young, but I do in Dave Canales and wanting to play through the number 1 wideout. Comped him to Mike Evans, blah, blah, blah. Coach will speak. Is neutral, whatever. But because they're going to have to throw the ball a ton during the year, I think he'll be viable for sure, being your wideout 2. Even as a wideout 1, I wouldn't be mad if you got, a lead running back, maybe even 2 of them. You've got, elite quarterback and, a guy like Kittle. Like Josh Allen or Lamar in the 3rd. I think Kittle in the 4th. Or, like McBride in the 3rd. And then Jalen Hurts in the 4th. And then you get Tet as your 5th round pick. I'd be super happy with that. For my wideout 1. But I like him. Talent is there for sure. The play caller, offensive potential with throwing the ball. So I like everything about him and everything they got going on in Carolina for fantasy for offense for Ted McMillan. Scary Terry at 18, he'll drop off because the touchdown regression will happen. He won't have 14 again like he did last year or however many it was. That's really it. Well, that and being on the sidelines for a bit before entering the year. I think it'll take a couple weeks to get back and acclimated to everything. But even then, I'm not worried about him. But that'll kind of bump him down a little bit for me. All right, Pickens, 19, could finish top 14, top 12. We've seen him with Dak before. It'll depend on Dak, really, if he can be healthy. If he can, Pickens will by far finish well over his ADP. If not, then Pickens is worthless for where he's being drafted. It all rely on Dak. But Pickens every year has been getting better and press man in the zone. And CD is great in the zone, short middle field. And they don't have a running game, so they're going to throw the ball all the time. Egbuka, 20, no Godwin again. Same thing for Mike Evans. Everything I said about him will apply to Egbuka. Pearsall, 21. Juwan Jennings, the calf injury. Christian McCaffrey with the injury history potential. Kittle will be out for usually a game or two, or hopefully, well, not hopefully, I was about to say hopefully not, but it could be 3. Happens pretty much every year, but Ricky, whole off season under his belt now. I think that'll do him good. Even when IU comes back, I'm not worried about him off of ACL tear. Yeah, yeah, right. He's not gonna do shit. Courtland Sutton, 22. Again, that defense is gonna hold him back. Their defense is gonna be way too good. I'd have to look at their schedule, but I'm pretty sure I'd favor them in a lot of games. Tennessee favor them. Indy, I favor them. Chargers, close game. Both defenses are really good. Cincy, it's always going to be a high-scoring game, you'd think, playing Burrow. But Philly, close game. Jets, I favor them by a mile. Giants favor them by a mile. Dallas favor them by a mile. Houston, I favor them by a mile. Las Vegas, I favor them by a mile. Chiefs will be close. Washington, close game. Vegas again by a mile. Green Bay, close game. Jaguars by a mile. And Chiefs, close game. So, half of the games I favor the Broncos by a mile and a half. So, that'll limit the offense. Alright, try to be quick now. After I finish the top 24. 23, Devontae Smith. What I said for A.J. Brown will apply to Devontae. And then Marv rounding out 24, just because of he ends up taking the year 2 leap. Maybe they look for him a little more. Maybe they actually play call him a little bit smarter for his route tree and what he ends up doing. But with Kyler, his ceiling will be capped because of him, unfortunately. And the defense should be better too, which will cap maybe how much they have to throw. But if James Conner ends up getting injured, then you'd like to think Marv will get a bump. Alright. Garrett Wilson I don't like because of Fields, even at full point PPR. That's why I have him at 24. If there's half point, I'd have him outside of the top 30. I don't like Wilson at all. Ridley, I'd probably draft Ridley over Wilson. He had Ridley had 120-something targets and only caught 63 of them. I can look down here. 120, 64. Half of them he caught, because so many were uncatchable. Should be better with Cam Ward. Offensive line improved a little bit, so should be better. Even a year older doesn't worry me, doesn't concern me. JMO at 27, he's the one I'm worried about. A lot of people are in on him. I'm not buying the hype. Not that I wouldn't draft him, but not as current ADP. I don't think I would. Just again, the offense will take a step back, and not saying that he will, but he might not go up like people are hoping for, unless the injury ends up happening to Laporta or Amon-Ra, then sure, or the defense again. But if the defense is healthy, then somebody on the offense is taking a step back, maybe 2 of them, Maybe both Amon-Ra and JMO. Travis Hunter, good potential. Not worried about him playing cornerback. DK, I don't like because he can't really create a ton on his own unless Rodgers is pinpointing him. But the offensive line, terrible over in Pitt, and Rodgers can't scramble, so DK won't get the ball a lot. I feel like Calvin Austin will be better than DK in terms of overall receptions on the year. And they have Jonnu too, which Smith loves tight ends. Jonnu only had one good year in his career, which was last year. So I'm not worried about Jonnu, but I just don't like anything they got going on. Tyreek wants to be traded. Oblique injury, hasn't looked that great. I'm off on him. The vibes are bad with him and the team and Tua and everything. Roman DJ, 31 and 32, just because of too many people to feed over there. DJ Moore could be running back a little bit each game. So design touches are going to be good for him, but his ceiling is going to be capped like crazy, more than people think. He's only going to be able to return on ADP and Rome if Caleb Williams ends up either hyper targeting one of them, which I think will be Rome, truth be told. With like you know what, fuck it, Rome's down there somewhere, right? And then the defense for Chicago is going to have to be bad for both of them to pay off, which means they'll have to throw the ball more, which will be good for them. But Caleb will have to pay off on an ADP. He'll have to exceed his ADP in terms of his production, which could happen. I have him ranked at 8, but that's because of the scrambling ability. And then them not really having goal line. Like, yeah, they have a none guy, but I think they're going to be passing more inside the 10 than people think. Jalen Waddle, 33, feels too low, but injury history to him and Tua hold him back. Olave, injury history, clearly, and shit quarterback. I have faith in Kellen Moore. I really do have faith in Kellen Moore. I think Olave is a good price for his ADP, but tough to take him. Golden, good player if you like potential. Didn't show much in Texas in terms of disappearing way too often. And LaFleur is known to spread the ball around too often. And again, they got Micah, so late third or fourth quarter, they might not have to throw the ball as much unless the games are really close, which could happen. The cornerbacks are pretty bad, but schedule is pretty tough. But we don't know. Having Micah won't help Golden. You'd think. Josh Downs, 36, only because of the hammy injury I think he's been having lately, dealing with that, and because Warren's been targeted and looked at pretty often by Danny Dimes in the preseason. Can only go off with so much from that, but Warren I think will be hyper targeted, and they drafted and put a lot into him. Titans a really tough position to learn, but they're not going to need him a ton on the offensive line to help block. The conference doesn't have great edge rushers, I don't think. No, I'm lying. Texans do, with Will Anderson and another guy on the line. But even then, they're not going to do what they have him blocking all the time. They're going to have him running for sure. They don't need to. I really don't think they do. But he should be running routes 75% of the time. He's out there, if not more. Zay Flowers, good talent, bad system. Judy will be good early on, tough schedule middle of the year, and that's when Flacco will not be quarterback. When Flacco's benched, Judy will be bad. So after week 1 against the Bengals, hope he'll get a tutty or two and 80-plus yards. Try to trade him for a guy who was a down week 1, like a bear, wide out. Playing the Vikings is a tough matchup, or like a Calvin Ridley, who's probably going to be shadowed by PS2. So Calvin Ridley is fucked for week 1, or maybe a package. Addison suspended. Too many people to feed over in Minnesota. I feel going to run the ball a little more than people think. Diggs TBD off the ACL. should be the main target there, but defense will hinder them in terms of needing to throw the ball. Jacoby asking for a trade, even if not, too many people now can catch. And I think my number 50 down there will be hyper-targeted by, not hyper-targeted, but Gino's going to love throwing to him deep. I have Josh Downs in here twice because I'm dumb in the head. Nice. Pretty official, huh? I spelled that wrong. It's okay. Jaden Higgins. I probably like Jaden Higgins more than Jacoby, even in full point PPR, because again, they're not going to have a running game, and you figure Jaden will be the number 2. So, I like Jaden Higgins more than what I've actually realized. I don't even have a share of him, but I need one. Fat Debo, 43, self-explanatory. Michael Pittman, I think will be kind of, maybe not the odd man out, but his production won't equal his talent. Travis, what the fuck am I doing? Darnell Mooney, shoulder injury will hold him back early on in the year, but I think he'll be a good value if Penix ends up paying off. I think he'll be much better than what people think. Like last year, he was a great value, great pick. He was great with Kirk Cousins early on in the year. Khalil Shakir was whatever, full point PPR. Will probably finish better, but I mean I don't like him much at all. Rashi, just because of the suspension, will probably go higher, but he'll really depend on your team type. Like if I'm low on wideouts, I'll probably take most of these people ahead of him. If I went early running backs or just onesie positions with the QB tight end, but if I'm pretty stacked on wideout and I'm kind of tanking the running back position, I'd have no problem drafting Rashi over Judy and everyone else after that. So Thornton, I think Gino will love him. He'll be more of a best ball kind of guy, or maybe a DFS dart throw for cheap. But Olamide, what the fuck? Oh, I'm gonna keep it that way because I don't want to change it. I think Olamide will be better than what people think. I think he's a number 3, the slot guy over in Chicago, and I do think they're going to throw the ball a pretty hefty amount. And he looked good in the preseason too, so I don't know. I like Olamide Zaccheaus and Luther Burden, just because of the talent that we know he has. But I think it'll take an injury for him to be worth anything. But he's more of a dart throw. I hope he ends up getting 40% of the touches or plays week 1, and trade him. Just barring injury, he's not going to do anything this year. Tight end number 1, Trey McBride. He should have positive touchdown regression. George Kittle number 2. They don't have many people to throw to over there. It's him, Christian McCaffrey, and Pearsall. Defense should be worse, so they maybe throw the ball a little more. And if McCaffrey does go down, then I don't think it really changes much for Kittle other than the upside, or the ceiling rather. But Bowers number 3, just because they have more people to throw to. Genty. Gino never really being used to throwing to a tight end. OC and Pete Carroll, head coach, love running the ball. With Genty, they can actually do that now this year compared to last year. They had nobody really. And Dante Thornton. Deep ball can then drives pretty quickly. Whether, good or bad, touchdown or ends up being a drive killer. But Brock Bowers is still a good pick, but not as ADP. Kelsey at 4 because of the Rice suspension. Yeah, I mean, he wants to go out as a winner. And I think that'll drive him a little bit. They want to huck the ball downfield a little more, which I think will only be better for Kelsey for his ADOT. Maybe not, but I feel like Kelsey's a good pick as ADP. Because he didn't play bad last year. Like, if you had him, like, early on, yeah. But after Rashi went down, obviously he was good. TBD on what it'll look like when Rashi comes back. Him and Kelsey will be fighting for the same area targets, but early on I like Kelsey because you can trade him. You can trade him early. Mark Andrews at 5 because of a really good schedule and likely coming back off of the injury, which could take a few weeks to kind of get back into form. Laporta number 6 because the offense should take a step back. He finished number 8 last year. I'm projecting him to be better because I think mainly it'll be Amon-Ra to take a step back. And because of that, I feel like Laporta could be targeted more because they won't have as much time maybe to throw the ball. So Laporta will be looked at a little more. Tyler Warren at 7. Danny Dimes has hawked him down during the preseason, and I think that'll continue. And Josh Downs still battling the hammy injury will only help Warren out. Kraft at 8 because of Micah and Jayden Reed. No, actually, Micah doesn't have anything to do with it. Jayden Reed mainly dealing with the injury should only be great news for Tucker Kraft. Hawk at 9, too many people to feed. They should run the ball more. I mean, same thing what I mentioned for Addison. And Njoku will be great with Flacco, bad without Flacco. Nothing more to it. Really, it's draft Njoku, maybe package somebody for if McBride, Kittle, or Bowers look bad, and Hawkins Njoku does well early on. Try to package and get one of them. But otherwise, you're pretty much streaming. Draft, Njoku and a later guy like Ertz or Henry. Who I have at 11 and 12, Ertz because Ben Sinoy, I don't know how to say his last name, barely played last year. Should play more this year, but for now, Ertz has been fine when healthy. So why not draft him late? Hunter Henry looked fine last year again. Maybe we'll be better if they can move the ball down the field more with Henderson and Diggs. Maybe he'll be a bit better off than what we think. He did fine with Drake May last year anyway, so ceiling ain't there, but the floor, sure. Evan Ingram's at 13 because, again, the defense is really good. It'll kind of hold him back in the injury history. He played, how much did he even play last year? It was either last year or the year before. He played a full 17. Yeah. Actually, injury history ain't that bad early on. 15, 11, 8, 15. Alright, maybe I can't bang on the injury, but at the same time, I'm going to anyway. Chig, because Cam Ward is used to throwing to a tight end. Chig is a great athlete and should be a little bit better overall for them. Cade Otton at 15 just because of the Godwin injury. Maybe he'll have, 8-point floor, 7-point floor most of the weeks without Godwin with, the upside of having a touchdown or two, 18, 20-point upside. But defense, number 1, Broncos. Mentioned them a lot already. Great defense, should be number 1 for fantasy. Vikings, number 2, great D coordinator, great talent. Not much more to it. New England added good pieces, have a great defensive head coach, and I think they're just going to be really good again. Really, really good. And they're actually going to be able to hold and sustain drives, which will give their defense more time to breathe, which will be huge. I feel like people underestimate that. Baltimore, top 5, at number 4. Great defense, added more pieces in the draft. Love them. Buffalo, top 5, at number 5. Added pieces as well. Great defense. Nothing's really changed for them. Detroit, number 6, because we don't know how healthy they're going to be with how they play, but if they can be healthy, they'll probably finish top 4, maybe top 3. Actually, I'd say that they finish top 3 for fantasy with Hutch, and just the defense is so good, man. When healthy, even without Aaron Glenn there, too much talent. Philly at 7. They lost a lot of pieces on the defensive line. They're not going to be bad, but I feel like they lost too many people to be number 1 or number 2 again, or I don't know what they were. They were Philly 5. Okay, so yeah, they were 5 with all the talent they had. So 8 seems fair. 7, pardon me. 8, Chicago. Got good upgrades on defense. Great defensive coordinator and DA. Love it all. Steelers, always get a good defense on for fantasy. Got them at number 9. 10, Houston. Good defense as usual. Nothing's really changing over there. Packers with Micah now, I'm putting them at 11. Could be a little bit better. Had a lot of picks last year, but that isn't a sticky stat, I feel like it could change year to year. So I don't expect it to happen again, quite like it did last year, and they have a tough schedule. So Micah will be great for them, but you know. Then Cardinals at number 12 to round out the top 12 because they played well last year in real life, and they have Will Johnson now and Walter Nolan. I think they got Nolan. Yeah, because Pitt got Harmon. Derek Harmon from Oregon. But yeah, Cardinals, good team on defense. Got 2 great players, so I like them. Kicker, Brandon Aubrey. Can go Cam Little, the 70-yard kid. After that, you're mainly just looking, Dicker, Bates, I think, as well. Boswell. I don't really like Boswell this year as much. Unless they play a team who can't really get a pass rush, then yeah, I like him. But just looking for teams who aren't going to score a ton of points, like the Bengals, which is why McPherson finished last year as... Oh. He finished at 29, but even then, like the years before, 14, 19, because all they do is put up touchdowns. So, stealing is capped. But, great talent, but just stealing is capped. But yeah, kicker, you just want to be streaming. Yeah, those are my rankings for this year. Again, part of it will be kind of where I feel like people will finish, kind of how I end up wanting to draft them, depending on my team, or kind of how I want to build my team and like where I'm drafting from, who I think will fall in the upcoming rounds, blah blah blah. And just like the overall feel, and injury risk being taken into account as well. Okay, players I am in on and players I'm out on. Quarterbacks, I am in on Dak and Drake May. Dak, I love to be a top 5 guy potentially, with Micah being gone, no running game. Drake May can run the ball, scramble, he can make plays happen, he can extend them. They have a better offense now with Diggs, Kyle Williams, Afton Chisholm, Trevion Henderson. I like Drake May. And who knows, maybe their defense won't be top 5 in real life like I think they will. If not, then that should only be better for Drake May. The players I'm out on for quarterbacks are Jaden Daniels and Jared Goff at their current ADP. Daniels too high for my liking, and Goff too high for my liking. And this right here is kind of where for my drafts, not really for best ball, but just the drafts I've done, where people are drafting them. It's kind of the overall feel I have on them too. It's a little bit too high. Goff isn't going top 5 or nothing, top 7, but I don't think he should even be top 12. I feel his ceiling is capped. He'll be a week to week guy. Running backs I am in on Alvin Kamara. As I mentioned, I have faith in Kellen Moore. Some of these are just going to be a gut check in terms of how I feel about them, and I'm okay drafting them. Not that they're going to I think they're going to boom from their ADP, but I'm happy with it. Or I think they're just going to completely flop. or is might be like a little too rich for my taste. But Kamara, I like him where he's going at. He's a fine pick if you have a little more a little more risk, like an Achan early on. If you want to have a safer guy rather than K9 who has a higher upside, Kamara is probably a better fit for your team. Hampton, I like, whether you draft him at the 2-3 turn or mid-third, any later is even better. But I'm not worried about Najee. I'm not worried about him at all. Tony Pollard, after the Tajay Spears injury, thumbs up. I don't like him for week 1 against Denver. I'm sitting him no matter what. But even if you have Pollard as your running back 2, I'd grab Jerome Ford if you can. I'd play Ford over Pollard all day long for week 1. TreVeyon Henderson I'm in on, where he's being drafted at from what I've seen. I just feel like, again, he'll be on the field early and often. And the fumble history with, Ramondre will be even better for TreVeyon to really go from maybe 55 to 60, 60%. Or who knows, it might even be, Ramondre. It might be a straight up 50-50 early on. But it shouldn't be. It should be like 70-30, 70-20 and then, 10 for the other back, whoever they have. Other than Eckler, after B-Rob being traded, I don't have faith in Eckler a ton, but he's a fine running back for if you are wide out heavy, or if you only have like a hero running back, right? I'm fine with Eckler. Or if you have like 2 running back, 2 flex, I like Eckler as your 3rd running back. Because why not? Again, you can trade these guys too. It's part of the reason why I like them. Some of them, because you can trade them if they do well early on. And then running backs, I am out on Monty. Hate him just because he can't really create a ton for himself. He has good vision and patience, but offensive line will take a hit. I love the guy from Georgia, Tate Radledge, that they got. Love him, but Monty will be kind of tough. To create on his own. Defense will be better, which they might run the ball a little more often in the non-closer games, but I feel like they're going to put Jameer out there much more, especially if the games are closer. Having a really tough schedule, Jameer will be able to be a lot better for that offense, which they should lean toward. Even if it won't be early on in the year, they should recognize it pretty quickly. Christian McCaffrey going in the 1st round, maybe early 2nd, but I'm completely out on him. Already talked about that. Breece Hall I'm out on for the ADP. He's been drafted I don't know. I just don't like him. I've seen him go, 3rd, really 4th, just too rich. I'd rather draft other positions like Kittle, Hurts, or other wideouts. Even if I'm already wideout heavy, even if I don't have a running back, I'm not gonna pick Breece Hall for my running back 1 when I can have more talent and upside and trade potential with wideout. I'm not picking Hall because Fields will just ruin it. The offensive coach or coordinator and the head coach is gonna do a committee with Braylon Allen. It's fucking dumb. Chuba I'm out on because again, they should throw the ball a lot like they did last year, but they have Rico Dowdle now, who's a better, I think, pass catcher than Chuba. He can create more on his own. And they have Ted McMillan, which will take away some of that maybe goal line touchdowns that he's had. Maybe they just do what they did, or what Tampa does with Mike Evans, and over the shoulder to Ted. Caleb Johnson I'm out on. I just don't like him. I think he's a byproduct of the Iowa offensive line going to a bad system and a bad overall team for the offensive fantasy potential. Jaylen Warren is there. I just don't like. Again, Warren is his only competition, but I don't like either of them. I don't mind Warren, but I'm not happy about him if he's my running back 2. Maybe my 3, but I better be damn good at my 1Z positions with quarterback and tight end. if I'm going to be happy with having my Ward as my running back 3. Alright, players I'm in on, current ADP for the wideout position, Mike Evans. Love it where he's being drafted. Again, I have him as 10? Yep, 10. Again, this is 1, 2, 3. Just too good without Godwin there. Too high potential to put up 18 to 20 points every game with the potential to put up 28 to 30. It'll happen. Just don't know when, but barring injury, love it. Pickens again, love him because they can't run the ball that well. Javonte's not good. Sanders not good. Jadon Blue, TBD. With Dak healthy, Pickens will be great, and defense should be really bad again, especially with Micah being gone. Ted McMillan, talked about him and the head coach. Kind of having a plan for him and a lot of draft capital in him. Defense being bad, should throw the ball a lot. Calvin Ridley I like for the ADP. I like him for the ADP if you're looking for more of a safer wideout 3. Or like a safer flex option. Again, 120 targets, only caught 63 of them because so many of them were uncatchable. Like that will not happen again. That will not happen again. They added nobody, and they lost Nick Westbrook, which was a vulture of touchdowns and just ended up killing drives super early on, taking 70, 80-yard bombs to the house too often, which was really, really, really annoying as a Ridley dynasty owner. But he's gone now. He's over in Miami, and yeah, I like Ridley with Ward there. Drayden Higgins I like for the ADP, just because again their offensive line is really bad and they can't throw the ball, and they're gonna have to throw. They can't run the ball, so they're gonna have to throw it to somebody. It can't be Nico every play. It could, but I don't think it will. I think Drayden Higgins will end up having a good amount of production, better than what people think. Wideouts I'm out on at current ADP. Amon-Ra, I talked about him. Just defense will be better. Don't think they're going to throw the ball as much, and even if they do throw a lot, I don't think he'll be the huge feature that he was over with the Ben Johnson offense. Great talent, for sure, but situation changed too much. JSN, don't know how much he'll play in the slot. If he plays 85+% in the slot, he'll be better than what I'm projecting him to be. But they brought in Kupp. Kupp can't do anything on the outside, and they have to put him in. And they're going to have to put JSN out, which he's not going to be able to win as often. So, bad offensive line too. Darnold taking sacks, so just end up killing drives early on. Bad. DJ Moore, just because of current ADP. I love the talent. I really like DJ Moore a lot, but too many people to feed. Again, they added Loveland. They added Olamide. They added Luther Burden. Defense will be better, so they're not going to. I don't think they're going to have to force Philly throw the ball as much as they did a year ago. Could they anyway? You betcha. But it'll be off of their own play calling, not because of the situation at hand where they're down and they're behind and they have to throw. And the manufactured touches could be the game changer, for him to actually return ADP, but I think it would have to be the manufactured touches behind the line. DK Metcalf, again, just good talent, obviously, but Rodgers will not be able to scramble behind the bad offensive line. Drives are going to be killed too often, and their defense is still good, so they're not going to have to throw all the time. And Arthur Smith loves running the ball, but I just don't like anything over there. I really don't. And Zay Flowers, final guy, good talent, but just, man, bad situation. If he goes to a different team, I don't think he got paid yet. If he's smart, if he wants to actually make a name for himself, go into free agency, man. Go there. As a Isaiah Likely, a dynasty owner, I'd like that too if he went, I feel. But Yeah, good talent, but just not good ADP. I feel I'm out on it. I'd rather draft other people there, either at the same position or other positions that I might be looking at. Tight ends I'm in on. Kittle I love. I feel like he has the number one upside with the Christian McCaffrey injury history. And he's going at the very end of the third, beginning of the fourth most of the time, maybe middle of the fourth. Super good value. Super good value. Tyler Warren again. Danny Dimes I think will hawk him down pretty often. Better situation there with the offensive line for Danny Dimes. He'll feel like he has more time, but I don't think he'll just crank the ball to Alec Pierce, like A. Rich did. And Pittman's a good talent, but I feel like it'll be to Josh Downs and Warren. They could be fighting for the same short yardage though, which is my one worry. That'll limit both of them, but who knows? Pittman could be the odd man out, and just Downs end up taking over, and Tyler Warren is being looked at really often. And then when they get to the goal line, manufacture touches for Warren and the Wildcat. I think so. The tight ends I'm out on at current ADP. Brock Bowers too high, going at the usually middle of the second. Doesn't really drop, doesn't really go any earlier, but too high. If Jacoby Myers does get traded, then fine, but I feel like you're drafting him at a ceiling, which I would prefer not to do if I could avoid it. TJ Hawk, too many people to feed, going to be running the ball a little bit more, and yeah, just I don't know how JJ McCarthy will be. I feel like he got carried to Michigan by the head coach, by the defense, by offensive talent, and he's coming into the same type of situation, so he'll look fine. But I don't know about the talent on offense for fantasy. Hawk is being drafted too high, I feel. Again, I'd rather be picking other people at that current ADP or around that ADP for the type of teams I enjoy building. But then Evan Ingram could be better than I think, but the injury history does really worry me. Too high ADP, I'd rather take other guys like... Again, it could be depending on who you draft with. I'd rather have Warren over Ingram. I'd probably, by now with the Reed history, or with the Reed injury, I'd rather have Tucker Kraft, I think, over Evan Ingram at their current ADPs. And again, just other people who I can draft around the Evan Ingram ADP. I'd rather not have to pick him, and then he's injured all the time, and I'm like, oh well, even if he's playing, is he really going to be featured? Defense is too good. It's just a whole thing. This is where his ceiling will be capped. Okay, if Matt Stafford plays 15 plus games this season, then Puka will be a top 2 wideout, and Devontae Adams will be a top 14 wideout. Simple as that. Stafford plays pretty much every game, other than maybe a game or two off for load management. I mean, Puka and Adams would really have to just do nothing in those 2 games, but I feel like they're going to finish as top 2 and top 14. Stafford can make it happen for sure if they're healthy, if they're all healthy. If Mike Evans plays 16 plus games, he'll finish at the top 5 wideout. Godwin not aiming to return till at least week 5, but I think Ibuka will do so good or well enough to where they're not going to rush Godwin back, and that'll be better for Mike Evans. Simple. I mean, there's not much more to it than that. Even if he ends up missing a game, like he usually will, that's why I put 16 plus. I think he'll still finish at the top 5 wideout. If Saquon ends up playing less than 11 games, then A.J. Brown will finish at the top 6 wideout, and Devontae Smith will finish with the top 14 wideout. Just looking in on the top 12, but A.J. Brown, phenomenal talent. Great win rate, and man press. Like, he's too good. And if Saquon ends up getting injured, are they going to tush push within the 2? Yeah. But if they're within the 5, are they really going to push all the way in? Maybe not. Could be another opportunity for, a couple touchdowns for A.J. Brown. One-on-one over the shoulder. Why not? I would. It'll either be to him or, scramble to the outside and hope Devontae ends up finding a corner pylon. You throw it to him. Or Dallas Goedert. But I put my money on A.J. Brown, put the talent and height up there on a shorter cornerback. And again, Dallas won't be good. Washington doesn't have good cornerbacks. Giants don't have good cornerbacks. 6 games right there. Where he has potential to beat the shit out of every team. Every team's number 1 cornerback. And put up a 20-piece. Each one of them. It won't happen every game, but if it did, fuck. That'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good for them. And they're going to be facing tougher competition, so they can't throw the ball as much. Even without Saquon, even with Will Shipley, which will even help the games be, a little, a wee bit closer. But A.J. Brown too good, Devontae Smith, the talent is too good. He'll have to be healthy too. But I think Devontae can finish top 14. If Chris Olave plays more than 14 games, then he'll finish the top 15 wideout. I mean, Kellen Moore is way too good of a play caller to not think somebody on that team is going to be viable. And I think we all think Kamara. But if Olave plays more than 14 games, well, more than 14 would be 15 plus. So the talent he's a great talent. We all know that. Great talent. Bad team, they're going to be down. They're going to have to throw the ball. They have no other competition other than Rashid Shaheed coming off an ACL tear, I think. And I don't have faith in Rattler or Shuck to throw the ball downfield to Shaheed. That's where he ends up making his bread and butter. Derek Carr could do it. These two, doubtful. If Daniel Jones plays every game this season and Josh Downs plays 15-plus games, then Josh Downs will finish at the top 20 wideout, and Tyler Warren will finish at the top 5 tight end. Josh Downs, again, fighting a little hammy injury right now, but when Flacco played last year, Downs was a top 15 guy, if I'm not wrong, in full-point PPR, and he's the most likely one to be looked at by Danny Dimes for the wideout position. He's the greatest separator. He looked at Wandell in the slot a lot last year in New York. So why wouldn't he do the same thing here with Josh Downs? They're probably going to do 3 wideout sets with Pittman, Pierce / Adonai Mitchell, and Downs in the slot, and Tyler Warren as tight end with JT in the backfield. That's what they should do damn near all the time with who they have. So I think Downs will finish the top 20 guy for full-point PPR. Too many targets will go his way to not finish that way. JT injury history too could help out. Defense is fine. Nothing special, but fine. Defense won't win it for them, but it won't make them run the ball only. And Tyler Warren, again, I think he'll be hawked by Danny Dimes. Already has been. He will have manufactured touches in the goal line, which that potential touchdown production could vault him into the top 5. If Tony Pollard plays 16-plus games this season, then he'll finish as a top 12 running back. With Tajay down for, at minimum, 4 weeks, again, it's a high ankle sprain. Could be longer to actually get back in form, but I don't think they're going to rush him back. They have capable running backs behind Pollard and Chestnut and Khalil Mullings. Again, Pollard in the 3 of the 4 games last year without Tajay playing a snap had over 100 rushing yards. Offensive line a little bit better. Overall situation a little bit better. So the touchdown potential should be a little bit better too to get the ball down the field, and who knows, maybe you can rack off a 13-yard touchdown a couple times more than we think he would. Who knows? Maybe within the 5, he'll actually end up getting the ball as well. I think within the 5 it'll go to Chig, but that'll be play action. If they're running the ball, sure, I'm sure you can find a little hole, small little gap, punch it in. But he is a good talent. He's better. He was one player I was wrong about last year, and I'm not going to be wrong about him again, especially with the Tajay injury. If Tua and Jalen Waddle play 16 plus games each, then Tua will finish the top 14 quarterback, and Jalen Waddle will finish as the top 14 wideout. It's a big if. It's a big if. But Jalen Waddle was on pace for, what was it, 1,300 I heard from Jason from the Fantasy Footballers on their podcast. When they played together and they were healthy at the same time, they were on track for 1,300 yards. Touchdowns are always going to be far and few, I feel, for Waddle, but if Tyreek Hill ends up getting traded like we think. Sorry, I got a sleeper notification. Probably just, draft her one day on the dot. If he ends up playing the whole year, or maybe he ends up only missing a game, and Tua ends up missing only a game, and their defense is banged up for their cornerbacks. Their front four / front seven, I think front four, really good. But their cornerbacks are terrible. They're going to have to throw the ball because they're going to have to play catch-up, or they're going to have to try to keep in it. Summer has been coming later. Go a decade back compared to now. In general, in the U.S., summer's been coming later. Winter has been coming later, which is only good for Tua, because we know Tua in the cold weather is just not it. Not it. But even then, Jalen Waddle should be a favorite target of his. Soft tissue injury for Achane. No more Jonnu as well, who took a lot from Waddle and Tyreek. But Tyreek once gone, if either him or if Achane ends up, being a little injured this year with a soft tissue injury, or ends up getting banged up from anything else, Waddle should be looked at a lot. A lot. And again, this is off full point PPR. Why not have him finish the top 14 guy? The yardage should be there. The target should be there. The main thing holding him back from being a wideout one will be touchdowns. Unless he has an outlier year. But again, it's an outlier for a reason. Not probable. But he can finish as the top 14 guy for sure. For sure. If Jakobi Meyers does end up getting traded, then Ashton Jeanty will finish the top 5 running back, and Dante Thornton will finish the top 30 wideout. Again, Jeanty, I have him, ranked 4 at the moment? They kind of don't align, I'll admit. Because I don't think Jakobi will get traded. But the amount of touches Jeanty will have is tough to not have him that high, knowing what he did in college. The offensive line, not good. But Geno, when they're passing, Geno can extend a play with his feet, and he can and will throw the ball to the running back. Jeanty can catch. He can run routes pretty decently. I feel like we are drafting Jeanty at his ceiling, but he's one of the players that you can, because he'll get the touches that could lead to it. And again, with Dante Thornton there, he's a deep threat. We know that Geno enjoyed throwing the ball down to DK Metcalf. Both are 6'5". DK's bigger built, but Thornton is big, quick, 6'5". Geno's gonna love throwing him the ball deep, and that'll make Thornton, if Jakobi is traded, a top 30 guy because of how many times Geno will look to him and how many boom games he'll have. He'll be boom or bust. I think he really will be. Because I think the main targets are going to go to Brock, if Jakobi ends up getting traded, and Jeanty. Even if they're up, it'll be like that. But if they're down, all the more reason Geno might get desperate. Hey, fuck it. Thornton's down there somewhere, and maybe he'll get a couple. a couple, 40 bombs, 40-yard bombs, not 40 points, but I mean he's a good talent. He's been playing better than Jack Bash. Bash has better, draft capital, but he was overhyped, overrated. I don't think he'll amount to anything in the NFL. I really don't. I really don't. I hope I'm wrong. I wish him nothing but the best. No ill will toward him at all. But just from what I've seen, from the little bit, so I am ignorant, when it comes to scouting and all that, but I didn't see anything special. I really didn't. His only thing will be, kind of being what Jacoby has been, more of a PPR guy, if anything, but even then, he doesn't have elite separation. So I think he's going to have a real tough time in the NFL. But Thornton, I like that a lot. I like him a lot. If Dak Prescott plays 16 games or more, he'll finish as the top 5 quarterback. Pretty cut and dry. I think a lot of people can agree to that. Now with Mike being traded, CeeDee Lamb there, George Pickens finally has a wideout too. For Jake Ferguson too, love him as a tight end. If Pickens didn't go to Dallas, Jake Ferguson probably would have been my number 5 tight end. Yeah. Because they have to throw it to somebody. They have to. It can't be CeeDee 200 times. It could. But I don't think it will be. Jake Ferguson, great tight end. Had an unfortunate injury, I think, last year as well. His Dak going down, which didn't help him. I could be wrong. Yeah, out for a few games, but oh my God, no touchdowns as well. Okay, come on, that will not happen again. That will not happen again. But last year, before Dak got injured, he was okay. What week did Dak end up getting injured here? Dak Prescott got injured. Okay. Taking a little bit longer than what I would like. Week 9. Before week 9, he was averaging, what did we cook him with here? 10, 9, 10, 10, 11, about 12. Yeah, I mean, that's good for a tight end. The floor is there every week with no touchdowns, mind you. No touchdowns. After week 9, at 11. After week 9, 10, 9. A couple games gone. 9, 10, 9, 10, 7.5. So did the production change? No, but the upside, it wasn't there anymore. Not that it showed in the initial part of the year anyway, which is fair. But again, I'd rather have Dowdle over Javonte, Sanders, and Jadon Blue for like a 1 year thing. I'd rather have Dowdle. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Dak, if he's healthy, he'll be top 5. They have to throw the ball 700 times if they're gonna want to keep up in games. Nothing more to it than that. All right, we got 3 more. If the Denver defense ends up holding teams to under 290 yards per game, then none of the Broncos players will return on ADP. Again, this ADP is going partially off of sleeper and the drafts I've done so far in home leagues. Best ball is a different thing. Wideouts will always go a lot higher. So especially Cortland wouldn't pay off, but maybe maybe Harvey would, with him being pushed down the draft board a little bit. But if they're holding teams to under 290 yards with how good they're going to be this year, again, with adding more talent too, it's tough to think any of the Broncos players are going to return on ADP just because of the situation. Not that they're going to be bad, but they're going to be players around the ADP. Looking back at your draft, you'd be like, dang, I drafted him because this is where he's kind of been going, like maybe Bo Nix, and hoping he can keep getting the rushing upside near the goal line, or just in general the rushing upside he has. But or Cortland, he was okay in the initial half of the game. Then after the goose egg against New Orleans, which awful game to watch, terrible game to watch. He turned it on big time. But will it happen again? It might, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I think you'll be happy with Cortland sometimes, but you're going to really be wanting more going off of that back half of last year. You're really going to wish that translated to this year, but I don't think it will. Two more. If the Lions' defense stays relatively healthy, then only Jahmyr Gibbs will return on ADP. Again, I'm down on Amon-Ra. A lot of people are up on JMO. There are players every year that I'm out on that I hit, and I feel like 200 IQ. Other players, not as many, to be fair, but other players I'm out on that a lot of other people are in on, but they hit, and I'm like, damn, I really dropped the ball. JMO could easily be that player that I dropped the ball on. But that would really need Laporta to kind of do what he did last year, which was good, but not what anybody hoped for where you drafted him. But Amon-Ra would really have to take a hit, and Monty would really have to take a hit. Because all the touchdowns would have to transfer, which, by the way, I don't think they're going to score as many touchdowns as they did last year. Because, again, their defense is better. If their defense ends up getting injured again throughout the year, then sure, JMO will return ADP. Amon-Ra, I'm still don't think he will. I'd rather have other guys. But even in full point PPR. But even then, I feel like only Jahmyr will return on ADP because I feel like because of who they're going to be playing, the games should be pretty close. Even if they are ahead, they're probably going to want to keep Jahmyr in there so that he can keep the drives going and the clock can keep moving. And I think Monty will struggle a little bit, not because of the injury that he had, late last year. He's back and 100% healthy. That isn't, taken into account here. But Jahmyr will be able to create his own holes and, explode through them. Monty's going to be more of a vision and patience guy as he has been his whole career. The offensive line will take a step back. But they're not going to be bad. I'm not trying to act like they will. I know they're not going to be bad at all. Especially having Tate Ratledge from Georgia. Love the kid. Every time that mullet came out, I was so happy we had him on our team. Unbelievably happy. But he has had a little bit of injury history, to be fair, in Georgia, unfortunately. It sucked as a fan. But great talent. But even then, a rookie, year one, it'll take time to kind of acclimate. He's not a top tier blue chip prospect like we've seen. Guys like Joe Alt, like Quentin Nelson, like Penei Sewell, who'll come in right away and dominate. Right? I think it'll take time for him. I hope not. As a Georgia fan, I hope that kid ends up killing everybody on the field. But yeah, I think only Jahmyr could return ADP. If their defense is relatively healthy, if only a third of them ends up getting dinged up by week 12, yeah, I don't think any of them are going to be really returning ADP other than Jahmyr. Then, for my final one to cap off the video, if JSN plays under 60% of his snaps in the slot, I wish I didn't have a lisp. That'd be a lot better to say. Then he will finish outside of the top 24 wide receivers in full point PPR. Full point PPR, right? You don't think he will. But again, a lot of his win percentage was in the slot, where he's able to find the zone, settle down, and have a positive matchup right off the snap of the ball immediately. But they have Kupp there. Kupp can't do anything on the outside. If they're smart, they have Kupp on the inside and JSN on the outside. For the overall chance of the team doing well, that's what they should do. As a fantasy owner, you're going to be pissed because we all know JSN is going to be better than Kupp and everywhere on the field. In, out, don't matter. But I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be tough for JSN. Because another thing, too, that I think it was Mike, the fantasy hitman, mentioned on the Fantasy Footballers again. They have what? Was it 4 tight ends on their team? And 2 fullbacks? Like, they're gonna be running heavy. They're gonna be running heavy sets, and it'll be different. It'll be a lot different than last year. Again, a situation. Talent can sometimes overcome. He's a great talent. But too many things are changing. The quarterback, Darnold. You have a quarterback who can't do well under pressure, from what we've seen. We have a offensive coordinator who enjoys running the game with Kubiak, and will make it a focal point, whether with K9, Sharps, or when they're healthy, both of them. And they brought in a slot guy. He was able to be the slot because he had DK and Lockett on the outside. Even when DK went down, Jason did great. He did great. Don't get me wrong. But too many things are changing to not think that if he isn't able to get the bulk of his snaps lined up in the slot where he's the best at, he'll take a tumble, and he will not return an ADP for your investment on him, and he'll fall outside of the top 24 wide receivers. We saw it with Juju Smith-Schuster. I forgot what year. I'm actually I can look it up right now. He was, before I look it up, he was great in Pitt. I don't know if he got traded, or I think maybe it was after AB ended up leaving. But he got put from the inside slot to the outside. And look what happened. He played 12 compared to 16 games, but the points per game dropped. Man, big time. See, a whole year. 295.9 points. 1,400 yards, 166 targets, 111 receptions, 7 tutties. The year after that, this is when AB left. I will double check, but I'm pretty sure this is when AB left. He got pushed to the outside because that's where they thought it'd be best for the team, for the scheme, for everything. And look how we fell off. Fell off a cliff. A cliff and a half, if you will. 2019. Antonio. Just to kind of verify. Oh, nothing showing. Okay. Yep, 2019. The one game in New England. Man, what a career for this guy. 2. It's crazy too, like, real quick. 380. He still finished as 1 and 2, but finished as 307, 307. Big difference. Missed 1 and 2 games, but then number 5 is 323, which shows you just kind of like the volatility of the top guy. Can still have 320 points, but depending on how the others do, it'll end up bringing you from either 5th, like with JJ as I mentioned, or top 3. But yeah, JSN, great talent. But he's a slot guy from what we've seen. He can win on the outside, but to return on investment, he has to play in. It helps that they do have Torrey Horton, who's his outside guy. But depending on the cup, I don't like drafting him. I don't have any shares of JSN because of too many things changing. The quarterback, his overall offensive scheme, and who they brought in free agency. And they got rid of their 2 outside guys as well. Like, I'm calling that for sure. Again, like these if and thens are partially like, oh, obviously, if this does end up happening, then this won't, blah blah blah. Like, duh, we all know that. It's more so for the overall view to kind of like have a rough idea on what could happen. Sorry, I'm trying to change the border here. I thought it was looking wonky. I don't think I'm gonna be able to. Oh, here we go. Anywho, but I think if I really had to plant my flag, which I'm just gonna do right now, because now like we have to be super professional anyway for this, and no name channel for now, and nobody really watching. Flag plants. I'm trying to keep it like that to be. No, I'm not. I'll do 3 of them. Because this will be what I think will happen. Oh. David Montgomery. Finishes outside. Top. Let's go top 28. No, I'll go top 24. Because he's being drafted in the top 24, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 at Bucky. 17 at Omarion. 18, 19, 21. Yeah, being drafted at 21. Okay. So yeah, I'll go outside the top 30 then. 24 is easy. Even the top 30 feels kind of cheap. So I'll do top 36. Because injuries will happen. Alright. That's number 1. Number 2. JSN finishes outside top 24 in full point PPR. I mean, these are all for full point PPR, but just to kind of clarify it a little bit. Other my 3rd flag plant. Monra will disappoint, going off his draft capital. People invested in him with make it a little bigger, there we go. 13, 14 is fine. See? Just 3 of them. But I don't hate the Lions, even though I am a Bear fan. You probably assumed if you actually listened to this, with a couple things of how I talked about the Bears, being like mine, but kind of like my team. I like the Lions. I love Dan Campbell. Fucking love that dude. I love the whole team. I really do. If they didn't have so many injuries on defense, they beat Washington for sure. You have to favor them against Philly, even in Philly. Well, no, I think they would have had first seed. Yeah. I think against the Chiefs, it's tougher because we saw Philly dominate them on the defensive line. Well, yeah, that's my whole point if they were all healthy. So yeah, I mean, they had a really good shot of winning it all. I feel terrible for them, but just because I'm a Bear fan doesn't mean I hate the Lions. Just for their ADP, I don't like them this year. Those are my 3 flag plants for what I think will happen. How about for players? Why not? I'm only doing 1 video anyway. What am I at? Like over 2 hours probably. Why don't we do... Yeah, we'll do 3 for like 3 more, but for like good things for players. Good things for them. We'll do. Yeah, we'll do Mike Evans finishes in the top. We'll do top 6 wideout. I know I mentioned top 7 or top 5 in my if then. But if he plays 16, I feel like he'll miss more than one game. I hope not. But even if he does, I think he'll finish at the top 6 wideout. Another good thing. Who am I in on? Tony Pollard. We'll go Dak. Finishes as a top 6 quarterback. I only do top 6 because of the 4 guys with rushing upside: Jalen, Josh, Lamar, and Jaden. Even though I am lower on Jaden, then Burrow will be Burrow, barring injury. But same thing with Dak, he'll be Dak, barring injury. So you have the top 5, and then I'll put Dak there with him. Then my final flag plant, let's do Tony Pollard. Let's do some capitalization, huh? Will finish as a top 12 RB. Partially, I think this will be because of injury. I feel like that goes without saying. A lot of this shit will be based off of who ends up getting injured and not injured, right? But with Tajay out, high ankle sprain, I feel like they linger on longer than a month. And again, yeah, we're not playing today, so it will be longer than a month by the time Tajay comes back, but that can really linger. And he has an injury history too. So if I was a betting man, which I am, I'm not that good, unfortunately. But I feel like Pollard will finish the top 12 running back, just based off of the pure volume you should be getting. And I like who they play, don't I? Denver hate. Rams hate. Ugh, okay. Indy's fine. Houston, don't like that. Arizona, okay. So, I mean, it'll be tough. But, I mean, everybody has tough games, right? But, yeah, those are my flag plants for good and bad. Right? Where do I want to change my last one? I kind of want to change my last one, actually. I'm not super confident on it. Okay, I'll do... well, no, it's like another bad one about DJ Moore. I don't care about the weather right now. I'm not out and about at a bar looking at the weather app. And I want to do it for Dante Thornton, but that won't, like, change your fantasy team, how they perform. Because, again, I think he'll be a boomer bust kind of guy. Why don't I do... You know what? I'll do this. George Pickens will finish as a top... I feel like top 14 is fine. Because look at where he's being drafted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At London. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. At Marv. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm not counting Rashi. Devontae, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, I'll just do top 12. There we go. Alright. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Long ass video. Only want to do one of them. Maybe I'll end up doing weekly for DFS or just fantasy in general. If people watch, gnarly. If not, whatever. Don't expect people to. How could I? But yeah, hope to look back at all this shit after a year, and even like future videos too if I do them, to kind of like call my shot if players do end up getting injured, how that'll impact rankings and you know, the overall viewpoint and just kind of how I think it'll affect things and other players. If I, you know, predict them, I'll be happy. Even if this video isn't correct, which it won't be. It won't be for anybody. But I feel like it's a good starting point with mainly who I'm in on, who I'm out on. If thens are kind of hypothetical, situational, so I can't really brag about them or say I called them. But it's more about okay, if you have faith in a guy to, you know, be healthy, then you know what, draft, you know, this player accordingly, or have faith that they'll finish accordingly. Even if you feel like you're reaching, if you feel confident about them, pick them. Then yeah, my flag plants: Monty outside top 32, JSN outside top 24 in full point PPR. Monty's same thing, full point PPR. And Amon-Ra will disappoint going off his draft capital. People invested in him. Alright, you know what? Let me make that a little bit more clear before I end the video. Amon-Ra will finish outside top 9. Let's see, full point PPR. There we go. Alright, hope you all enjoyed the video. And yeah, I'll catch you later.